Hey everybody, this is Michael LoPresti.
And I'm Karen Clark, and we just ran Hamsterwheel.
Woohoo!
Woo!
Welcome to Cultra Podcast number 263.
Cultra Trail Running Podcast. Running. Cultra.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to the Cultra Trail Running Podcast. I'm your host, Art Byram, and I am joined by the Cultra crew tonight. I have Celeste Fong a Ding Dong.
Good morning, kids.
And I have Fred Marola, who's having technical difficulties, but he's here in spirit. He was here twice, and then he dropped out, and he's back again, but he's not back yet. So we're going to wait for him.
In the dark.
Yeah. And then we're going to, tonight we're going to talk about Hamsterwheel, and maybe talk just a tiny little bit about Stonecat, but probably not too much. I think we're going to probably save that for next week. I know there's some people who are looking for, the inside scoop on what happened there. But today we're going to go dig deep into Hamsterwheel and find out what happened there. But there may be some people who haven't heard this podcast before. Maybe you got tackled on the trail and somebody gave you a sticker. And you're like, I don't know. She said I had to listen to this or she was going to show up at my house. So this might be your first time listening to the podcast. So if it is, welcome. Hope you enjoy us as you're out for a run or driving in your car or wherever today finds you. So for those who don't know, the Cultra Trail Running Podcast is a place where we can get together, discuss all the fun shit that happens on the trails that most normal people don't care about. Our headquarters are located in the belly of the Beast Coast, Glastonbury, Connecticut. So most of our stories involve Northeast trail running or Northeast trail runners. The language that we use is explicit and raw, like the trails we run on. So you probably don't want to listen to this with your kids. So first of all, I'd like to welcome KAREN Clark and Michael LoPresti to Cultra, or welcome back to Cultra. So,
yay!
Thank you.
Yeah,
Awesome
glad to have you guys here.
The explicit and raw wasn't necessarily about Mike LoPresti. It was more about me, I think.
Yeah. I figured, Celeste, since you joined Cultra, you've probably boosted the explicit and raw dimension of the experience here. So
A little bit.
Just a little. Just a little. So first of all, how are you guys feeling today? Maybe start with Karen. How are you feeling?
Feeling all right. A little bit of foot pain, but still walking, still not quite running.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. That's allowed. That's definitely allowed. And
hey, admit it.
We're going to say hi to Fred Marola here. I'm going to jump right into that. So how you doing, Fred?
I'm doing all right. Yeah. And my camera works. I can see everybody and you can see me.
And now you have to stop giving Art the finger.
Yeah,
right.
I know. Well, no, I can still do it down here. See,
Okay.
both hands.
All right.
Wow.
But I also am going to swear less than I usually do because I've got Michael LoPresti with me tonight.
Hey,
I'm going to swear.
LP apparently now. So
That's true.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. His new name is Michael fucking LoPresti.
But you're a good influence on us, Michael.
No. He's a good influence on you, Fred. He's tried for years to be a good influence on me.
Well, yeah.
No, it works both ways, Brad.
That's right. It's kind of like the moon coming over the moon is like pulling all the water from the ocean, and it's not going to move the water like out off of the planet. Okay. It's not going to get rid of the water and do any of that. It's just going to like affect the tides. So, you can still influence things without like obliterating them, so.
I thought you were starting to talk about Hamsterwheel because I saw a few moons.
I bet you did.
I thought Art was going to talk about mooning. That's what I heard.
Because I saw a couple.
That happened at Hamsterwheel. Yeah.
Yes.
You did.
Yeah. A couple times.
Wow. So, okay. So this is good. So that's always good for a run, right? I mean, if that's going to happen, especially when there's one complaint about Hamsterwheel is that there's like in the daytime, it's hard, right? I mean, that's not a long trail to find a place to take care of business, right?
It can be difficult.
Yeah.
They do have porta potties on either end,
Yeah.
But you know how ultras are.
That's
Wait a
like
minute, they had porta potties at the far end.
Yeah. the
So
parking
you
lot.
have to go into the parking lot.
Yeah. And it was definitely
okay.
used throughout the race.
Oh, it was
All right.
used a lot throughout the race.
I feel like that wasn't there last year.
It was there.
It was
It
there.
was.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't see it.
Yeah, we still love
But
it.
it was a better kept secret last year.
Okay.
Yeah, I think people figured it out this year, unfortunately.
Gotcha.
At night, it's great because the whole trail, you could just go anywhere. But like, you know, if you're peeing. But
Gotcha. Or if you're Jimmy Mac would.
or if you're Jimmy Mac, yeah.
He would just let it all go. Doesn't matter.
Yes. Yeah. Well, sometimes you got to let it go, right? Speaking of Jimmy Mac, I got to run with Jimmy Mac on Monday night.
All right.
There you go. That's right.
Well, see, I'm doing a tribute to him right now. See?
Oh,
Aw.
His race.
the Thanksgiving race.
Nice.
Yeah. And that's, you can go sign up for that now, right?
I believe you can.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's not sold out, I don't know if it's sold out yet.
Yeah.
know.
And that's the, I'm drawing a blank on the
Brooke. Is it Brooke
Brooksvale.
something?
Brooksvale Trails Turkey Trot,
Yes.
according to my T-shirt, according to scripture.
Yeah. So two things. Number one is Brooksvale, and then the Saturday before Thanksgiving is the Know Your Pace race. So that's the race. What's that?
There's
Okay.
also something else that day.
There is.
Well,
Michael
we're going
might know
first.
something about it.
I know, but first
Okay,
we
all right.
got to go to Know Your Pace race first. I got to
Okay.
stake my claim here, right? I mean, I got something here, right?
Yeah, I run this podcast.
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
We're going
I'll
there
mute-
first.
Fred, I'm going to mute you right now, okay? That's it. Like you're going to go, you know.
I'm giving you the
send to
finger under the
cornfield.
table right now.
I'm going to send you to the cornfield. So the Know Your Pace race, okay? And that's the place where you can do this and then you can go run other races that are longer timed races and still get in all the miles that you could possibly run anyway, probably. So at the Know Your Pace race, the winner isn't the person who runs the fastest. The winner is the person who runs the closest to their predicted time. So it's 8:00 on Saturday. Before Thanksgiving at mile 4, the Manchester Road Race course. And so we'll run that course.
Are
And if you
people
don't know
allowed
where
to
that
wear
is?
watches and stuff? Like, do you have to go?
No, you can wear your watch, but we're going to put tape over it if you do decide to wear it. But
Or you could put tape over your eyes. One of those are your options.
I vote eyes.
I do too.
Okay. All right. So all in favor. Okay. So we're doing it a different way. This year you have to run it blindfolded. Your predicted time blindfolded on the course, multiplied by the number of leaves you catch. So it's pretty good. Tony one time came back with a bag of leaves that he picked up off of the course, like a whole big paper bag, like a massive bag. He won the course. He won two things. He won, the leaf catching contest that year. Anyway,
there were no rules that year. People have probably tried to enforce some rules after that.
Oh, there's definitely no rules whatsoever. That's the only rule there are
there's
no rules.
It's like the Outback Leaf House, right?
Yeah. So I'd like to start with Karen here because, Karen, maybe you could tell people a little bit about yourself. So where are you calling from?
I am in New Hampshire, so I'm in Lee, New Hampshire. I've been running now for, since 2002. I think I started running track in middle school.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God, you're so young.
God.
Oh, I was 38.
When
Oh
you can
my
say that, Celeste.
Oh God, she's a
So go
baby.
ahead. No
It
pressure.
was probably closer to 2000, but still, yes, I'm a baby. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I
Wow,
love
no.
you.
And now I've caught this ultra running bug within the last couple years. So
Okay.
ran my first ultra back last October. I was actually thinking about this and it's gone quickly. So last October was my first ultra. It was 55K Canyon de Chelly out in Arizona.
Oh my gosh.
Amazing.
You ran that?
I did.
Who did you bribe to get in there?
I got in 2020 and then COVID hit and it's just the lottery. So I got lucky. I got in, and then COVID hit. And then the year that we actually got in, because they deferred all of the registrations, was last year, but they didn't know that they could have the race until 4 weeks before. So they pretty much sent out an email 4 weeks before and were like, hey, we're having this race. And I was very undertrained. It was one of those where I was like, well,
you're not missing that.
I'm not missing it. I'm booking a trip and I'm going and I'm going to do 35 miles. So went out, absolutely gorgeous. I would bribe absolutely anyone to get back in. But that was my first ultra.
I gotta like call a timeout here and just put in a plug for that area. So because a lot of people are like, Canyon du Chelly, what is that? Like, I've looked on the map, I've searched the whole map, and there's nothing on the map that says Canyon du Chelly. Okay, so there's Canyon du Chelly, which is basically Canyon du Chelly. It's in Arizona. And it is, I would say it's one of my favorite places on the planet that I've been to. It is, lots of people talk about how beautiful the Grand Canyon is and what it's like to experience that. I think that when you go to Canyon du Chelly, it's the kind of place that you can sink your teeth into and really feel a part of it with so much beauty. I mean, it's you stand up at it's all red rock. You stand up at the top, you look down into it. There's Anasazi Indians, I believe, were there, right in the caves, and several different, I guess, peoples have habited the area over time, and it's just it's a special place. So many different diverse ecosystems there too. So from streams to little grasslands to so many things there. It's just really a spectacular place. So definitely worth it. If you're driving across the country, I drove with my friends across the country and I had heard about it, and that was my only request. That was my one stop. My card that I played was that. I made everybody drive. I tortured them to drive the extra, whatever it was, 2 hours out there or hour and a half out there from the main highway. And it was the best call ever. So
do you put your name in the hat for the lottery every year?
I did when I remember to. I have. It's probably the only lottery I've ever tried to get into besides New York City Marathon. So
nice.
So sorry about that. But before we get into the rest of the running, Karen, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Hubbardston, Massachusetts. So
Okay.
Small town, Central Mass. Kind of like New Hampshire.
Yeah. Now, do you have brothers and sisters, or?
I have one brother. He's 4 years older than me. None of my family really runs, so I was always on my own for the running stuff.
Gotcha. How about your parents? Were they athletic at all, or are they
I would
athletic?
say my dad was athletic. My mom wasn't really her cup of tea. My dad destroyed his body fairly young through athletics, so he was always warning me, don't go too hard, don't hurt yourself.
What was that, like football or
him.
something, or what was he
Baseball.
doing? Oh, baseball. Okay.
I didn't tell him about the first marathon that I ever ran until well after I had run it, because I didn't want the lecture of, you're going to need new knees. So I just didn't tell him.
Yeah. Very good. And so as you were growing up, what was your identity? Like, what kind of a kid were you?
I was kind of a nerdy athlete, I would say. So I always did well in school. As an athlete, I didn't really do the mainstream sports. So I was more the runner. I played flute and band. I was on the Scrabble club and went to the Scrabble National Championships.
Fucking A. Right?
That's amazing.
Triple word score.
Yeah, so I can't say that I was the most popular kid, but here we are.
Wow. But like I think Ellie Pell said, life's not hard when you have a library card. So
Yep.
That's great. So you said the Scrabble national champion or world champions or
The national championships. It was in
National-
Boston, so it was a easy commute, but
It's so cool.
so how do you qualify? I want to we're gonna. I don't want to
you
talk
didn't
about
go
running.
when you were a
We're not
kid, you
talking
didn't go
about
to the
running
Scrabble
anymore.
National Championships? I thought everybody did. No?
Fred, you made that right every year for the last
Yeah.
40 years.
Yeah, right.
really the only thing that I had to do to qualify was be the best at my school in Scrabble, which small town central Massachusetts school. You didn't get that many people that wanted to be on the Scrabble team, so it wasn't that tough.
Wow. So when you go there, how does this I'm curious about this. So when you go there, how many is there one from every school or a possibility of one from every school or from every district, or how does that work?
There were hundreds of teams.
Okay.
And from all over the place. So some people get really into Scrabble. There were timers in terms of how quickly you have to make your move. So all of the rules that you never read about board games are all in play when you go to a national championship. So they have people with the Scrabble dictionaries in hand to look up words, and fairly intense as a middle schooler, but maybe it prepared me for the running world. I don't know.
People try to tell me that culture is not a word. And I tell them,
According to Words with Friends, it's not a word. I've tried to play it many times.
I trust the Words with Friends dictionary.
I don't know. My phone automatically changes it and knows to do Cultra.
Thank you. So
Yeah,
artificially,
it also knows that I'm never saying ducking, so it doesn't even try to change it to ducking.
Wow. So back to the Scrabble thing. So when you competed, was this were you then placed on a team? Is that how it goes, or do you go individual?
Two person teams.
Huh.
So you always had a teammate, and it's actually really interesting to figure out the teammate dynamic, because there were some people that on paper we probably would have been a better team, but when we actually played together, we sucked. And it was just kind of one of those things where either one of us was good alone, but then once that we were together, it's like we couldn't make decisions. So I always did better with kind of a more laid back partner that would just let me make the calls. And
okay.
I know you're shocked, Celeste.
Shocked. I wish I had heard some of the fights between you and Rob, now that I'm hearing that.
We went back and forth a few times.
So before you go then, so are you trying to, before it's the actual event, is your group or your area trying different combinations, like testing out you with another person, kind of I picture if you ever read Boys in the Boat, or how they go through and they test out, to find out who the magic person is and what strange combinations work together.
Yeah, we had practices. So we had practices during free periods, and I at one point was late to band practice because I was at Scrabble practice, and my instructor threw a music stand at me. So, just the little things that happen. And
that could be so I can just picture this, the ultimate nerd's dilemma. So you have a library book that you have to return, or you're gonna get fined, right? So you're trying to get there, but you don't want to speed, and then you can't cross the light to get there, and all of a sudden you're late for band practice, and then you miss the Scrabble tournament. So it's all trouble.
And see, this is, I think, why I get along with ultra runners, because we're all a little weird in our own unique ways. I'm trying to bring it back to running for you guys. So
no, we don't.
Art is just going to go down this path all night.
Noble attempt, Karen. Noble attempt.
Yeah. That's the thing.
Yeah. We're proud of you, Karen.
Everybody's already heard most of the running stories out there, or there's
somebody haven't heard the Scrabble stories.
This is podcast gold right here. The Scrabble tournament. This is going to push us over the top this week. I'm predicting. Fred, you agree?
Oh, indubitably.
Yeah.
Which
how
would
many
be a
times
good
did-
Scrabble word.
Yeah, how many times did you win the tournament? Though probably
never.
several, right?
The
No?
national tournament? No,
Yeah.
I never won. There were people
Eyes?
that like actually dedicated their lives to Scrabble.
Yeah, I knew people who like
I
had
had to make it to
memorized
dance practice.
memorized all the 2-letter words, stuff like that. You know.
Oh, we definitely put some time into the 3-letter words.
Yeah.
If I played just casual Scrabble with friends now, I would probably play words and they'd be like, fuck you, that's not a word.
You'd be like,
Oh,
go ahead,
oh,
look
pull
it
out
up.
the dictionary, guys.
Oh, I just happened to
God.
bring my dictionary here. Yeah.
Wow. So will anybody in your family play like, okay, so we're not playing Scrabble with Karen because she's just gonna destroy us. Like, I'm not doing that. Why would I do that? I'm gonna embarrass myself.
We don't really play board games anymore, but they encouraged my Scrabble playing while I was in middle school.
Uh-huh.
And then I don't think that I've played Scrabble in at least 10 years now. So
Okay.
you all have a chance. If we just whip out a game of Scrabble, you all have a chance.
I think we should
do you play
that.
words with friends though? Do you?
On occasion.
Okay.
On occasion. I was into it, fell off the bandwagon. Once in a while, I'm bored.
How about Wheel of Fortune?
It's a great show. Again, haven't watched it in a while.
Yeah. I always thought I was like beyond that and above that because like we're like a hard diehard Jeopardy family. So it's like we're Jeopardy. We don't play that like Wheel of Fortune stuff. But I started watching it and it's like, oh yeah, it's kind of all right, like because I don't know. They seem some of the people are pretty amazing on that. So wow, so that's cool. That's awesome. So have you ever been able to use like your Scrabble skills in your running? Like, has anything transferred from that? Or maybe even like, I'm not even saying that you had to like, you're not going to walk up to an aid station, and I know you don't do this in Scrabble, but say like, hey, I'd like to buy a vowel, like, or anything like that, or like, but do you ever like maybe some organization that you use from that? You ever carry that across or no? Like
not directly.
No.
Yeah, they're kind of two different worlds, I think.
Okay. But
I don't think
that's cool. Did you feel pressure? Let me ask you this. Did you feel a lot of pressure from that? Like when it was
No,
like,
not really.
I can't sleep tonight because I got to wake up early and I got this Scrabble tournament going on. And I'm like,
Honestly,
I don't want to look, bad. They flew me out here to where was
it was
tournament?
in Boston. So we just got on a bus or in cars
Okay.
because we didn't have enough people going that way. But so there was no flying. If they were paying a significant amount of money, then maybe I would have felt pressure. But it was one of those things where you walk into the hall that they have this in, and they have international students that are like, they're reading the Scrabble dictionary while they're waiting to play, and like playing warm-up games of Scrabble, and there was no expectation of winning. I would say that there's probably more pressure in the running world because in local races, there's actually a chance that I could place for my age group or potentially overall, depending on the field. Scrabble, that was never a possibility. So we just went, we had fun. We would play, it was probably somewhere around 8 to 10 games of Scrabble over the course of the championship. So you're playing a lot.
Huh.
That's a lot.
Is there one play that sticks out in your mind, like the time that we spelled Zanzibar or Yahtzee or something? I don't know what's the best word.
My memory isn't that
Zigzag
good.
or something.
Yeah, like it all depends on placement on the board.
Uh-huh.
So it's one of those things that you can have a pretty basic word, but if you can place it right and it attaches to another word that has all of those letters in it, then all of a sudden you're at a 70 score or something. I don't even remember what the highest score possible is
Mm-hmm.
in any given play, but you can use the board to your advantage, set yourself up for your next play. And I guess coming back to how it relates to running, the strategy involved does definitely cross over a little bit, where you are thinking about that next step in the current situation. So
Mm-hmm.
you kind of have to think about, okay, well, if I play this, as long as the other team doesn't screw me over and play something on it, then I've got this next one that's going to hit that triple word score and it has all the letters that I want in it. So you do have to think ahead and play for the long game versus just, oh, well, this is my best play right now, so I'm going to use it.
Sure. Gotcha.
That's a really good
Interesting.
metaphor.
It's really good.
Very good. So Karen, so this was your first. Now you had done ultras before. You said Canyon de Chelly, but now you had never attempted a 100-miler before. Is that right?
No, I had never attempted a 100-miler. I had no idea what I was getting myself into.
Mm-hmm.
I
People
was
lied to
at
you.
Hamsterwheel last year with Erica for a couple laps. So I went to pace her. Once that it got dark, I did a couple laps with her. So that's when I first met Celeste. She left a lasting impression.
Now, were you wearing a skirt, like a sparkle skirt, or no?
I was well,
Or a
this
penguin
year I
suit
did
or
get a
anything,
light
or
up
no?
skirt. But when I was facing Erica, I did
You
not.
were the light up skirt girl?
I was a light up skirt girl.
Yes, I told you you had the beautiful skirt. Yes.
A lot of people did, but
Yes, it's
thank you.
amazing.
You say that to all.
To all the light up skirts, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So I signed up because Erica and Rachel, well, Erica really was the one that drove it. She was signing up. We do Reach the Beach together. And
okay.
yeah,
It's all coming together now.
Exactly.
It's all connecting the dots.
So we did Reach the Beach Ultra back in September.
Mm-hmm.
And we had signed up for this long before that because we got in on the early entry, save $15, whatever it was.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard of that.
And in my mind, I was like, well, it's 30 hours, but if I decide that I want to be done after 12, then I've got a tent out here. I can just go to sleep and wake up and cheer on my friends, forgetting that I'm not that type of person and I get competitive with myself. And if you give me 30 hours and I can continue moving forward, I should probably continue moving forward.
Mm.
Except for
but you
looked
looked
that
good.
100 mark, then I wasn't moving forward anymore.
Right. Yeah, but you look good out there. Like even when you were right about to hit 100, you still look good.
Yeah, you're moving well.
Yeah.
I felt like I was moving all right. It was a mental battle more than anything, but I think that I could have continued. I definitely could have done one more lap in the time that I had, but when it's your first 100, you kind of want to just soak it in and enjoy it.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah. Now, what was the crux of the event for you? Was there ever a time where the result was on balance, where you're like, yeah, that car's looking warm right now, and a little bit of, crewing and pacing is better than racing,
There were a few times, I would say. So 2 weeks ago, I ran a marathon. It was the Loco Marathon in New Hampshire. And it was the worst race that I've ever run, in that I wore new shoes, which I know I'm not supposed to do, but I did it.
What?
And yeah, so I wore new shoes. I was like, it's only 26 miles. It'll be fine. It wasn't fine. My feet were aching. So that was about 13 to 16 miles in. I took my shoes off and I ran 5 miles without shoes on in that marathon. And
now, is that down the Kangamangas? Is that
no? This one was
okay.
in Newmarket, New Hampshire.
Oh, okay.
So it was a 2-loop course. And there was a big part of me that just didn't want to finish, but I continued, again, forward progress. But that being 2 weeks before Hamsterwheel, of course, was playing in my mind of, well, I have the shoes that I'm used to. Hopefully there won't be any problems. But I will say that about 20 miles in, I brought 3 pairs of shoes with me for this one. 20 miles in, I was wearing my Ultras, which is what I wore for Canyon de Chelly. No problems there. And I was definitely getting a little bit of the foot aching, like, okay, I'm not sure where this is going. Switched into a barefoot minimal Merrill shoe that I've worn for years. I've worn for marathons. That saved me at that point. So it was definitely a moment of, okay, I'm 20 miles in. I don't know how far I'm going to get with how I'm feeling. I had a nice camping meal that I had made at that point. So a little chicken Alfredo, lots of calories. It was great. Switched out my shoes. And then at that point, I got into a really good rhythm where I felt like I could go out on the runs. I was in a good walk run cadence. And then I would say that as it was getting darker outside and I was getting closer to that 50-mile mark, again, it was I've already done 15 miles more than anything that I've done in the past. I'm getting sleepy. And that was when I ended up Rob found me, Rob and Mike. So Rob was pacing for Mike. And that was at mile 48 to 52. Somewhere in that lap, they found me. And then I ran with them for the rest of the race. And it really takes you away from the demons in your own mind when you have other people directly with you, where everyone on the course was always great. But when you're actually next to someone and you have someone telling you like, okay, 3, 2, 1, run again, it takes your mind off of everything else.
Rob's a good pacer. Like, he's really good.
Hold on, are you talking about Rob Jeffers?
No. Rob Breckenridge.
Oh,
the bear.
Rob the Bear. Rob Bear Ass Breckenridge.
Yep, yeah. Bear Ass. Although he wasn't one of the people that mooned.
Okay.
So.
Just checking. We're going
even
down
though it's in his
here.
name, right?
I'll cross him off the list.
I didn't realize that was his name.
Right there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. So
yeah.
So then, okay, so that was good. So then you found some other people. Now those more minimalist shoes, did that do you think that kind of corrected your stride some, or
Yeah. I think that that's actually why I've been having issues with my feet aching. Is I used to run and do CrossFit workouts in the minimal shoes more frequently, and then I've kind of switched to more standard shoes recently, and I think that my feet, my stride, everything has been a little bit off. So I'm going to take that and adjust back to doing a little bit more with the minimalist, because even when I was wearing the first shoes, I was getting some like pain in the back of my hip and just sporadic. Once that I switched over, that was gone and didn't come back the rest of the race. I did actually switch shoes again around the 54 mile mark, 52, I don't know. But I did switch shoes again to some Innovates that I've run other long trail races in, and those were also okay. So
those are probably pretty minimalist as well, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Those tend to be spiky and good for that. It's interesting how that goes, because a lot of times you get out there and you just start to feel vulnerable. Like if you're in that mood of like, I don't want to lean into the pain, I kind of want to try to avoid the pain. It's a very dangerous place to be. And sometimes the thought is like, I just want to tie big pillows around my feet. And sometimes that works, because like sometimes your feet, the bone structure actually hurts. So I think like these cushy shoes just really seem like a great idea for that. But like if your stride isn't on point, that all that miss energy or out of any deviations from your form get transferred to another body part like your hip or your buttocks or whatever, your brain, or so I don't know. I always struggle with that. Like I love those, I have some Saucony endorphin speeds, and I just love them to death. But there's something about, I ran in, a pair of Innovates this weekend, and my feet are fine. My feet feel, I did speed work on Monday, so after like 50 plus. So I don't know. It's always weird to figure out what works for you. And I guess like everybody's a little bit different too,
And I tend to continue playing with it, even though the minimalist shoes have always done me well in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And it's well, am I missing out on some kind of technology that these other shoes have that cost a lot more money? And maybe I should give them a try, and maybe it will change my running completely. And usually I end up back at that point where I'm semi-disappointed, and I go back to the tried and true.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, but I think you got to try it too, because like I was convinced when I first started running, I went to a shoe store and they said, "Oh, you're an overpronator, so you need these big, plywood shoes, with like, they were like blocks of wood." And then one day I was reading an article, or reading some magazine about, a shoe catalog, and it said, "These are for fast people, these shoes." And it's like, yeah, screw it. I'm fast. I'm going to get these. So I got these shoes, and then I just tried running up on my toes with them. I forget what they were. Maybe New Balance. I don't know what they were, but they were pretty darn light. And I ran up on my toes, and all of a sudden, like, bam, I was engaging my whole body, not just like planting my heel into something. I was up on my toes and, springing off of my hamstrings and all that, and actually had a stride suddenly. So, but that's great that you were able to kind of adjust as you needed. And, so then, were you like, was 100 your definite goal?
It was definitely the goal.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure if it was an attainable goal going in. So
Yeah.
I'd say that I wasn't super confident in, I'm going to hit 100 at this race. Because I know way too many people that first attempted 100, you make it to maybe 60, 70, and you kind of hit that wall. So I wanted 100, wasn't sure what my body would bring, what it would feel like once that I went beyond that 35. So I didn't say it out loud too many times. But I figured with 30 hours, it was, if I could get through a good chunk of miles before dark and then just keep kind of chipping away, even if it was walking, death marching. Luckily, I never got to the death march stage, but I was kind of expecting by the time I got to 70, 80 miles that everything else was going to be walking from there on out. And it probably would have been if it weren't for finding Rob and Mike and having someone tell me to keep running.
Gotcha. So at what point, or was there a point where you all of a sudden said, "Holy shit, this is actually going to happen"?
I would say that it was probably around mile 80 to 84. So kind of when it was 4 or 5 laps left, it was okay, I've still got 7 hours and I'm still maintaining less than or close to an hour per lap. Unless something goes horribly wrong, I'm feeling good and this is going to happen.
Yeah.
but there's always that like nagging feeling of, well, unless something goes horribly wrong, and
Yes.
we know that things can go horribly wrong. So
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us about your last lap.
the last lap, so the second to last lap, going into it, Rob gave us caffeine pills, which was great. Except
He's like that uncle, right?
yeah,
Like,
he
here,
was
kid,
just
drink
like,
this.
oh yeah, like
He
in the
really
morning,
is.
he was like, oh, I'm
Uncle
gonna give
Rob.
you guys a pill, just take it.
Don't
Yeah.
ask questions.
He's like the candy
Don't
man.
ask questions. He's like, yeah, it's like a pre-workout thing. It's like meth, just take it. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. I'm just gonna go give
Of course.
it up. What could go wrong? And then the caffeine pill, he had his little drawers with all of everything. So
Everything.
he took him out and he was like, here, take one of these. And I was like, okay, I've never taken caffeine pills before, whatever. But I had already had coffee. Caffeine didn't affect me too much, but it gave Mike wings. So the second to last lap, he was like going out there and he was like running 9:55 pace for the running segments. I said fuck you a couple times to him as he just like started to sprint in these things, and I was like, I'm not doing that. So that lap was a little bit faster, and he was losing touch a little bit with the walking breaks. So I was like, you know what? I talked to Rob. I was like, I don't need the walking breaks. They're not working well for him. Let's just kind of find a steady pace and make it work. And so we did that for a little while. And then Mike realized that he wanted more walking breaks, which was good. But that lap was definitely faster. And then going into the last lap, you could tell that the caffeine had worn off a little bit, or we had gone a little hard that second to last lap. So it was a little more even keeled, even paced. We more just did fartlek games of, okay, let's run to that point and then let's rest until that point. And then it was really just once that we got up the hill.
Yeah.
I hate that hill.
Walk up the hill, then you run across the little field, then you go around the little bend, and then you go up the hill and then down that hill fast
And once
around
you're
the
in
bend.
visibility, you have to look good on the last lap, because what if someone's watching from the field?
Yeah.
So, we actually had to run at that point.
Excellent.
Yeah, that last lap.
So what made you want to do 100 miles? Like why did you want to do that?
Honestly, I think that it was so back in August, I should have disclosed this earlier. I ran a 120-mile 6-day stage race. So not 100-miler, no day was over a marathon, but it gave me a little bit of a taste of running on tired legs, what your body is capable of, that kind of thing. Now, at the same time, while I was out there and the people that I talked to and the friends that I made at Trans Rockies, I think that I said multiple times, I don't know if I ever need or want to do a 100-miler. So that was 3 months ago, less than 3 months ago. And I knew that I was doing this 30-hour at that point, but it still hadn't clicked to me that I would make a goal of 100 miles. And even going into it, I don't think that it was in my mind of, yeah, I want to do 100 miles. It was, well, I'm here for 30 hours. Let's see what happens.
Much better approach. Absolutely much better approach. Because you can't go ahead, Fred. Oh, sorry. He's drinking now.
I didn't say anything. I think there are different approaches to it. So.
And I think my approach now that I've done it would definitely be different than going into the first one, where now one of my friends asked if I would do it again. I was like, Hamsterwheel, yes, but there's part of me that Erica hasn't gotten her 100 at Hamsterwheel. She's done 100 elsewhere. And I'm like, if she wanted a crew or a pacer, I would be more inclined to do that and just commit to her. Or if I do it again, it's not going to be just to hit the 100 mark. It's going to be competitive to see how much more I can get beyond that.
Yes. Yeah.
So it mindset shifts once that you kind of achieve that next level, then it's okay, well, what's next?
Very good.
Yep.
Well, congratulations on your 100.
Thank you.
That is it's quite a thing to happen. When just to accomplish that, it is an amazing feeling, and
I feel like I'm still
enjoy it
processing
there. I'm sorry, what's that part?
I feel like I'm still processing it. And
Of course. Yeah.
reality.
And I usually feel about a month afterwards, like, God, how did I do that? I don't think I could ever do that again. I mean, how did that happen even,
That's why you
So-
have to sign up for the next one within the first 2 to 3 days, and then you're already on the hook for another.
I guess. That's yeah. So that's awesome. So I'd like to talk to Michael now some about his experience there. So Michael, now you've run how many times have you run over 100 miles now? Do you know offhand?
This was my 4th attempt this past weekend.
Okay. Uh-huh.
So 4th.
I was a witness to 2 of them. Or
He was.
Okay.
Back in the early pre-internet days of ultra running. Yes.
yeah, Michael and I finished our first hundreds together. That, but not like hand in hand or anything, but at the same race.
Really?
Oh, that's cool.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
Fred? Yep.
So let's talk about that. Where was that, Fred?
With a little piece of history. Our 2007 Umstead 100 in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Wow.
Eight
Wow.
loops of a 12.5-mile trek through the state park down there. Yep.
Yeah, and
That
Michael and
sounds
I
lovely.
actually talked during the race. Like we knew each other, like as barely acquaintances. So we both we said hi and stuff. But during the race, at one point, I was having breathing issues because it's during pollen time for the loblolly pines. So there's yellow pollen all over the ground and everything like that. And I was having this terrible coughing fit. And Michael came jogging up and he looked at me and he said, "Why don't you just puke?" And then he continued on.
That's graduate level stuff right there.
I
right?
know. I
Oh.
was like, well, there's some
I don't remember
advice.
that at all.
I can
Wow.
The best
picture
ultras.
exactly where it was on the course. Michael.
Wow. All right. I feel bad now, Fred. Jeez.
No, it was it was sincere advice. You weren't being dismissive. I think you were
okay.
thinking
All right.
you look like you're in gastric distress. Maybe
Just
if you
get
throw
it
up,
out.
you'll feel
Get it
better.
out.
Yeah, get it out. Yeah.
Okay.
And then we crossed paths again at Warramog, right? 100K.
Correct. Yes.
later.
Oh yeah, that's right. I think that was
Actually,
that
that may
before
be
that?
before.
That was
That's how we
before
met
that.
first with Warramog. Yeah,
Yes.
for me, it went sequential. Went from 50 mile to 100K to then to the Umstead. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it was 2006 Warramog. It was in a rainstorm, 45 degrees, raining
Vermont is
sideways.
Horrible.
And
yeah.
And Michael LoPresti, future founder of the Connecticut Trailmixers, won that race, the 100K at Warramog.
Very good.
Oh, look at that.
The only one who didn't drop.
I was going to say,
Weather.
there's an asterisk. Everybody else gave up because it was terrible weather. But
Yeah.
Mike, I was volunteering there, and all the volunteers had just huddled into the one tent that hadn't blown down. We're all huddling against the cold and the rain. And Michael came in a couple of times and ate some food, got a goo or something, and went back out. And we were all like, wow, we don't even want to go out to volunteer. He's running the course.
I feel like that deserves less of an asterisk than just about any other potential win. If you stay out there in those conditions,
Yeah, there
If
were
it's so bad, everyone else
Because
drops.
it's like,
Yeah,
You
the
get
thing about
kudos.
Warramog, though, that we should mention is that you're allowed to change distances. So when the weather's terrible, there probably were 10 or 12 people at least in the 100K, and they all were like, I'm going to drop down to the 50K or the 50 mile or something. So
or the 5K.
the 5, I'll do the 5K. Yeah. But not Michael. He stayed out there.
Wow.
Well
Because
done.
at that point, like, I get that. I'm like, my brain would have had lunch with that. I would have been like, okay, I guess it's like the only good thing to do is to just let everybody go home, right? It's miserable. Like, they don't want to be here. I'm just going to send everybody home and they're going to love me for it, right? They don't want me to keep going. They want me to stop, and I would have talked myself right into that. So
I learned something else that day that I could mention is that Michael's wife is was back then, I don't know, 16 years later, but she was unbelievably supportive of his ultra running.
Oh, she still is.
She was just it was amazing. Like the weather was awful. Nobody wanted to be out there. And she was huddled in that tent with us. And when he went out, like for the last full lap, we were like, man, I can't believe that. And she was like kind of glowing, like, yeah, he's pretty amazing and really determined, So she was super supportive.
So Mike, do you have any tips on that? Like
on what dimension of that?
Yeah, on your wife being supportive for that, for your running.
I'm not sure if I have tips to offer other than I'm lucky and we both support each other in the stuff we love to do. So there's a mutual respect there.
Gotcha.
She doesn't go much to my races that often since they happen a lot now, and she's kind of seen it all at this point.
Yeah,
but, the support's definitely there.
Yeah, it is funny kind of comparing maybe the first marathon that we run to, and the kind of support that we get like from that to, to other things, which all of a sudden become like, oh yeah, that was just like another weekend,
Oh, there he goes again. Yeah.
Call me when you're done.
Right? That's right.
Be
text
careful.
Make sure make sure you're not dead. Just text when you're
wow. I don't even bother texting that I'm not dead. I'm a bad wife.
So Michael, you had run a hamster wheel before, right?
Yes, in 2021 was my first and prior hamster.
Very good. And I think
he won that year also, for the record.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to put a little small addition on his house for those giant awards that you get when you win the race, I think. So
I found room on my office desk here for it.
Did you?
So yeah.
Got a big desk though.
Yeah, it's a decent sized spread.
I mean, I think my dogs could
wheel,
use that. Yeah. My dogs could use that hamster wheel. That's how big it is.
They probably, it's a big hamster wheel. That was a big award.
After the first hamster wheel, my younger daughter did crochet me a hamster.
Oh.
That's hamster. So those are in the podcast. It's a crocheted hamster. So he was with us this weekend again for round 2.
Will she crochet you another one now that you won again?
I've dropped a hint. Yep. I think I wouldn't be surprised, Karen. Yes.
That's great. So, Mike, so going into this, why did you want to run this race this time?
So a couple of reasons. So first was I just had such a really good time in 2021. I went into that one just hoping I can go for the full duration and not really know what my mileage was going to be. So I got 120 miles that first year. Had no idea I had won until I crossed the finish, and the timer's like, "Are you Michael LoPresti?" Yep. Oh, you won! Congratulations! So because I find it hard to track kind of who's on the course and who's in which race and stuff. So it was just a phenomenal experience. And then I registered for 2022 to come back last year, but I had heart surgery in May of 2022 to repair an aneurysm on my aorta and to repair a valve. So I had to bag out of last year. So this year was a chance to see hopefully how well I've been rebuilding my body and my mind and my cardio for things. So that was the challenge this year. And a bunch of good friends were coming up there, and I didn't want to miss out on it. So that was the motivation this year, was to see if I had my goal was to see if I had another 100 in me after all the health issues from last year. That was my primary objective.
Wow. Okay. Awesome. So how did it, I mean, we can see what the result is, but sometimes the results don't always tell the story. How did it go for you?
It went really well. It was, most things went well and very few things went wrong. I went in with thinking I'd be really, really thoughtful about my aid station setup and not really dawdle there. I was determined not to take any naps this time, because usually at 3 o'clock in the morning you take a nap, and if you fall asleep you wake up all stiff and sore and you lose all your momentum. So I decided I'm just going to bypass that whole thing this time. So that worked out well. The nutrition worked out well, as Celeste saw me horking down food every time I went through. I had no stomach issues, and I was hungry the entire time, which
insanely jealous. Yeah,
it was great. I've never had that happen before, so I was not calorie deficient. And then the running, my approach was to, as I usually do, is I walk the first minute of every mile, and I do that for as long as I can. And I set my goal of doing that to mile 50 and then seeing how I felt. I was actually able to do that until around mile 73 or 74, pretty consistently. At that point, this kind of sounds similar to what Karen was going through. I started feeling some aches and pains, like my right knee started to hurt. My left foot, which never hurts, was starting to twinge. So I started adding more minutes to the walking breaks. And by the time I got to 80, at that point, I was like, okay, the time on the clock was reasonable. I knew I could do the 100 miles. And so I dropped into walking almost exclusively at that point. And Fred, I know your advice, it was ringing in my head, like, once you commit to full-time walking at these things, it is so hard to get back into the running mode and to have your body remember that. But I was actually okay with that, because again, mile 80 was maybe 12 or midnight or so on Saturday into Sunday, and I knew I had plenty of time on the clock to meet my goal. So I was okay with that.
Well, so did you say that you walked it in from 80?
I walked the last 44 miles.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Don't try this at home, kids. You have to be graduate level to do this, because usually you would just start walking slower and slower and slower. But Michael, I read your race report, and you don't spare any words in your race report. You always you put all the details in, and you kept that pace up. Right?
He did. He looked. Yeah. I think maybe the last 2 loops, you started to look a little pale.
It hurt.
Yeah, just because I said to him, "Well, you did 120 here before. You got to do the 124." Because I'm a bad person.
That's really bad person talk, Celeste. That's bad.
Hey,
he was like 16 miles ahead of the next person, and you're like, "Oh no, you got to go."
You don't know that.
You don't know that. Like, there were some people that you saw out there that were still running strong, and so it's like, I don't know where these people are. And there were a few people that had gone in going, "I want to hit at least 120. I wanted to," you know what I mean? So you have no idea where you're at. But you looked really good. Maybe the last 2 laps you started to look a little pale. Otherwise, you were just out there like a superstar.
And I still felt pretty good at 100 with 7 hours left on the clock or whatever it was. And so I think it came in around 100, like maybe around 22:45 or something like that. And so I knew my second goal was then to just stay out there on the course as long as I could, even if it was hobbling, 20-minute, 25-minute pace. So I slipped into that. I continued that walking mode, and it really was just the last couple of loops that things started really hurting and really getting a little crazy and dizzy in the head from lack of sleep. And
I think it's typical when a foot hurts that the opposite knee hurts. That's like an axiom. Okay. It's like exactly the sine and cosine of running. Because I had that many times where one of my Achilles would go, and then I'd be like, "Oh, I'm going to power through this." And then it's the other knee.
I guess it's your body's mechanics, right? Kind of adjusting and tweaking and trying to compensate.
You're light on that one foot and heavy on the other side, and you plant it and pop your knee. So
compensation will just mess you up more.
Yeah.
Okay. When you got tired, question, did anybody else see Appa from the Last Airbender on course?
I did not see Appa. I had no hallucinations this year. I would stop if I had seen Appa.
Appa was there. Jay told me he wasn't.
Did you say yip yip?
Yep.
So really funny story. I saw Appa. Jay wouldn't let me pet him. Apparently he said he wasn't there, but I think Jay's wrong. And then I hit a wall at 3 a.m. and it was really bad. Like, I didn't talk for miles, which
that's
never. Yeah. Jay was scared.
Nobody believes this, Celeste. Come on.
I don't remember this, but apparently I went up to someone and I was just like, if I give you $1, will you murder me like right now? And the guy's like, I can't do that. I'm like, I think I have a 5.
Oh, that's good. I like that. That's
It was
good.
so bad.
Good plan.
Oh, yeah.
But
There was also
oh, go ahead.
what? No, go ahead.
Let's say to your point about getting quiet, I can tell the energy level of the event because like the first, to 8, 10, 12 hours when you pass Celeste and team at the crossroads, her volume was up, her swear to regular word count was up. But as the night grew and things got tired, she was like, hey. Hey.
I got dark. It didn't last long, but I got dark. I went to my car. I was like, and I almost said Howard was there. Scott and Jay were there, and like, you don't want to go to your car. I'm like, I'll kill you. I'm going to my car. Give me a half hour. Like it was at that point where it was dangerous. Where you're.
So let's. I want to hit reset here because Celeste, I want to hear about your story.
Yeah.
And I want to hear beginning to end on that.
Oh.
So, but before we do, I just want to finish with Michael just a little bit more. So was Celeste a bad or rate on a scale of 1 to 10? How bad of an influence Celeste was at the end to get you to push that extra mileage?
It was a 10 for a good influence.
I'm a typical LoPresti answer. I object.
Too nice. You're too
nice.
nice.
He's the best.
I was not savoring the thought of adding another couple of loops if I didn't have to. But as we were talking about, I didn't really know what the standings were, and I was still walking, and I had time because as you all know, you start doing all this weird, crazy math as the clock runs down, and if I slow it down 30 seconds, will I still beat the next loop? And coming into the last loop, I had 90 minutes left on the clock. It's like, okay, I can get one more 4-mile chunk and I can get my distance PR, maybe seal the deal on a surprise, at least to me, unlikely victory. And yeah, so it was Celeste, you talked about that. I passed at one point in the early morning, I passed this guy, Justin, who I guess had won the race a couple of years as well. And he was like, dude, it's like, I've yet to break the 120 barrier at this one. I think you have time to do it. So it was supportive words like that from Celeste and Justin and others. And that helped out a lot with that.
Very good. Very good.
And I'm a little biased, so I wanted Michael to win because,
So was there, what was the crux of it for you then, Michael? Was it at 80 miles where you decided, hey, I could go, I'm done running, so I'm done and I'm going home, or I'm going to keep walking? It was
the 80-mile crux, because at that point I knew I could, short of falling and breaking my leg or tripping in the river or something, I knew I'd get the 100. And I knew I had a chance to get a few loops after that. So I really, again, going into the race, 100 was my goal. So that 80-mile point was with 12 hours left on the clock, whatever it was the crux. I was pretty confident about things at that point.
Very good. Very good. Well, congratulations. That is such a good, sounds like such a good time there.
That's fantastic, Michael. Especially I followed your medical journey, and this is really, it's like you're all the way back and more. That's really, really good.
Thank you.
So,
and
I know you dropped from it last year, right? Because you just weren't feeling like you could do it, right?
I had to cancel because I was still having issues with recovery.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And it was actually watching and following your medical journey, and the entire time how positive you were, and it was really nice to see, because it'd be easy to be negative about something like that, and you never were, not once.
So it helps, and maybe we can all appreciate this because we're all part of this sport. A sport like this gives me structure in life, in addition to family, in addition to career. There's something bigger that we're all part of, and having that framework to latch on to as I was recovering from something like that, it just gave me something to work toward more.
Yep.
And again, something to build on, something to develop as part of the recovery. So if that makes sense.
It makes a total sense.
And it's one of the few things too that is so measurable, right? Like you can't say, oh, I want to have like hair that's like twice as good as last year or something like that. Especially, I can't say that. Like Celeste might be she's probably the only one who could say that, but
Thursday it'll be twice as good.
Yes. But when we run, sometimes there's a number, there is a number assigned to it, right? So that's there is a tangible result there. And obviously the numbers don't always reflect, the effort that goes into it. But it is nice though. It's just such a good, it's such a nice story, I gotta say, to see it just a little bit better, just that extra little bit, like Fred was saying there. So congratulations to you. That is that's a great thing.
Thank you.
Question for you guys, and not to like flip it then, but quite often I find that after these things, sometimes there's a letdown, like, because you're thinking like, okay, I got this coming up, I got to go get this done. And then it's like, you're starting out and then you're going and it's at mile 80 and you're like, oh, fuck, I don't know if it's going to happen. And then like, oh, it's happening. Yeah. And then you're through and it's, first couple days are like really pumped up. And then, it's still a little bit early for that, but do you guys ever suffer from the post event blues, or how does that work for you?
I do.
Yeah.
But I find that having a goal, like I'm good at self-motivation. I don't need, but like if I have a plan or if I have something, I work harder to get there.
Mm-hmm.
In this particular case, because this race was a disaster for me, so I have all those feelings going on. But again, still fun. But so yeah, sometimes after you're done, it's like, oh, well, when's the next one?
Do you have a next one?
I was going to say that's
lined up?
usually, I think, what keeps me from having the blues is usually I know, okay, well, I've got this one that's coming up. Now, this I will say was the end of my season, so I'm not sure what my first race will be going into next year. I might do some like half marathons, easy stuff over the winter, but I don't have that, oh, well, this is my next one that I'm now training for and excited for. So I've got a little bit of the blues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was my A race for me for the year, and I'm still pretty flying high. But like the rest of you, I know there'll be more races next year. I just haven't mapped it out yet. So no blues, but it'll be nice to have some downtime from the mileage, and just looking forward to the next adventure. So
yeah. Right on.
I have a question for you, Michael. Do you feel like you got 100% out of that race? Because the reason I'm asking that is because ultra runners are famous for saying like, oh, I won that race, I did really well. I probably, if I'd done A, B, and C, I might have gotten another loop or something. Do you have any thoughts like that?
No, no, I haven't had those thoughts.
Okay, because I think you got 100% pretty much.
I don't know how
I think he got 112%.
What are you saying, Fred?
I mean, if my feet and knee weren't hurting, maybe I could have run another loop instead of walking another loop. But I don't think I could have put more. I felt like afterwards I'd given it everything and I had nothing left to give. So I didn't feel like I was
excellent. That's a good feeling, because we're so self-critical a lot of time. I mean, I'm sure everybody's done it, right? You finish your race, even if it's a good race, you're like,
Yeah, my second 100 mile was on the one day at the fair in New Jersey, that 1 mile loop around the track. I just love that format.
Yeah.
At that one, my goal was 100, and I stopped at 100 with like still 2.5 hours left on the clock. And with a mile track, you can add more mileage. And as soon as I clocked out, like within half an hour later, I was like, shoot, I shouldn't have clocked out. I could have.
I was kicking you for that one. I have to say.
You were there. That's right. You were there, Art.
Yeah, because I watched you and I was like, oh my God, he's just going to destroy. But there's something about that though. I mean, that's just, I think that, and not that there's anything wrong with it. It's more common for people to do that. It's more common at those, if you want the biggest lap that you gain places in the standings is when you run 101 miles, with a 1 mile loop, because everybody stops at 100. You do 101, you're going to
you
pass.
go up in the
Yeah, I think
rankings.
you pass 5 or 6 people usually.
But it's
most
different
of those
goals,
races.
right? People go into these events with different
Yes.
goals.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I was there one year where Alex McDaniel was running, and he's seriously fast, right? He wanted to do 100 miles, and he wanted his 100-mile time to be the time for that race at that very same the race at the fair. And so he did it in like 16:40 or something.
Oh my gosh.
And didn't do another loop. I was like, Alex, you could probably get 130 miles. Like you could like slow down and still get like a really good mileage thing. And he was like, nope, no, I just wanted that 100 miles. So
that's right.
Well, there you go.
Wow. It's like, yeah, gentlemen, I retire.
Yeah.
After
a lot of time
after you hit the hole in one.
Yeah. I think I'll go to bed now. It's midnight. I could go till 9 the next morning, whatever,
Wow. So running's interesting the way that it impacts us and kind of marks off times in our lives. And I think that most people are either just out of a crossroads in their lives or they're heading towards one. A point where, they're going into a change or just going through one. So I thought maybe we kind of talk about that a little bit. Karen, are you like near a crossroads in your life now, or how do things look for you right now?
So I would say yes. And this kind of goes back to the Canyon de Chelly thing. And it's funny the way life works. Because again, that one didn't know I was running it until 4 weeks prior, but my dad had passed away 2 months before that. So that was kind of a crossroads of, okay, well, where am I getting my mind back? Like, what am I doing to stabilize myself? And that race popped up at the right time where I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go out to Arizona and I'm going to run as long as I can and prove to myself that I still have the mental energy, the focus, the ability to do this. And since then, I would say that I've picked up a lot with my running, where this year I've run more races than I think any time in the past, where I've run a couple marathons, 2 ultras plus that stage race. So I've done a lot of miles over the course of this year, and it really has given me kind of that outlet from just the stress of life, and it gives me the ability to remember that I am in control and that we can face challenges and continue to go through them. So I would definitely say yes, coming out of a crossroads, and don't know where that will lead me next, but I know running will definitely be a part of it. So
wow. Yeah, that's powerful. And death and change like that and is a that is a powerful influence in our lives. I know it was a year ago, almost exactly a year ago yesterday on the date, and basically the Sunday at Hamsterwheel was when my father died. So I ran most of that race last year, wondering if my phone was going to ring, that I was going to get the news. So I had no business running it. I had no business finishing it, not a chance I didn't have the mental strength to run 100 miles, but my friends were there and somehow they got me to run 100 miles, So it was like, and it was a beautiful thing, that kind of pulled me through there. So I'm glad that, that you were able to experience something similar. So
and they probably all said to you stuff like LoPresti's not here this year. You can be the first finisher from Connecticut with the 100 miles, right? You got a chance, Art. You got a chance.
I don't think I was, though. I think Clarice and a number of other
that's
people,
true.
Clarice
handed it to me. So
Clarice killed it. Yeah, that's true.
And I do think that it speaks to the running community in general, just like they are the people that you want to be around when you're facing those situations, because either they'll put a smile on your face because they're like Celeste and, she'll be screaming at you and
She did. No, Celeste.
Chasing the guys that don't have their shirts on, and it's
Yeah, no,
they'll put a smile on your face.
yes, Celeste and I did a lot of bonding that a year ago on that. Between that and Tarts and Jack I. Smith and a couple other people, it was it was quite a weekend. So, so Michael, you're kind of at a crossroads now too, then, right? Wouldn't you say, or just how does that look for you?
I'd probably say I'm a little bit through the my most recent crossroads, which I would probably say was the open heart surgery last May.
Yeah,
that was definitely a big fork in the road.
And,
super fortunate to have come through it the way I did, and I still feel like I've come through those crossroads, and I'm still kind of exploring what life on the other side looks like. And
sure,
I think the Hamsterwheel this past weekend is a very good sign of what life 2.0 was like after that.
Yeah,
so yeah. I'm not sure what the next crossroads will be, so I'm enjoying the road I'm on right now.
Excellent,
very, very good. I guess like most of us don't know.
It's hard to say, right? Sometimes you see it coming, but not often. But you're at a perfect age for doing longer ultras. I believe, Michael.
Good, because I lost my speed completely after my surgery.
Well, I mean, like when you're like in your 20s and 30s, you can be like, I'm going to try to get my best 10K time or something. But when you see the big 5-0, now you can compile miles, and you have the mental strength to keep it going like you did last weekend. So it's really, I think it's the sweet spot for long distance running.
Yeah,
is it a bad sign that I feel like I'm already there at 35?
It just means you have a lot of mental strength, Karen. That's good.
I think that's why we have to enjoy every day, because Karen, I look back to the time when I started running at the time you were in middle school, right? 2002, right? I think is what you said. Didn't you mention 2002 or something? Yeah. So that's when I started run. That was my midlife crisis, 38. I just finished going to school at night and was, had gotten my spiritual act together, had gotten my mental act together, but my physical had gone to shit. So it was like time to get that in line. And you know what? I always, there were times when I felt like I was good, but you know what? Sometimes it's very easy to go through life like shaming yourself and saying, you know what? I'm just kind of like, I'm not really comfortable in my body. I'm not really comfortable with who I am. I used to be, but then you look back on how you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and you're like, yeah, I wasn't so bad back then. But like, what we have to fucking remember is today is tomorrow's back then, so we have to like enjoy and appreciate who we are now, so
today is tomorrow's back then. I'm trying to work that one out in my
head. Today is tomorrow's back then, because we're going to say
philosophy.
Tomorrow you'll look back then, and
which is today.
It'll be what's today now. Well, okay. Philosophy.
Right? Who's on first?
There you
go. So Celeste, we haven't talked about your event there and stuff like that. So you went to Hamsterwheel. Now, what were your goals at Hamsterwheel going in there?
I really wanted to hit the 100. I trained, which I worked hard. Everything.
I a lot.
I did everything right. And I just didn't have a good day, So we got there at like 6 a.m. And we set up Cultra town. Like, it was even bigger than last year. It was huge. And we had the banners and we had the signs and we had so many tents, and it was just,
who you should have had? You should have had Emily Mayer there.
Yeah, our mayor didn't even show up
without leadership.
You'd had the Culture City, and you'd have the mayor of Culture City right there.
Yep.
Anyway,
she probably would have sent some of us to jail because we were naughty. No, it was a really, really good crew. And I felt really good. Started the race, felt amazing. Got through. So I was with Ashley and Liz for the first big chunk of it, and they were going for their longest they'd ever done were 50Ks. So I got them to PR their 50K. Like, it was going really well. And then I started having GI issues, and it did not go well for a while. Then Jillian showed up and went really well again for a while. Then I hit a wall and I took a nap and changed my clothes. Oh, and it started raining. Of course, it started raining. There was a 0% chance of rain.
Yeah.
So I'm in a puffer jacket because it's cold, and it starts like raining. I didn't even have rain clothes. Like, thank God Jillian had a raincoat for me because it was bad. So funny because we were inappropriate. So we were taking a scientific research study, and we were asking everybody, would you rather have sex with a vampire or a werewolf? And the answers were very entertaining. Wow. Very entertaining. Yeah. And then we heard a wolf and we saw a bat. So
which one did you choose?
Me? Either. But for the record, the werewolf, it was pre-transition, like not when it's an actual wolf, just so we're on the same page. But yeah, so that whole topic of conversation, we had everybody talking about that out there. But anyway, so yeah, it got to the point where I was just having some medical issues, and I had to make the smart call to not cause damage. So I quit. I did 84 miles. And, you know, if I'm being honest, at first it was like, okay, well, I'm a failure. And, you know, like logically you could sit there and go, oh, well, 84 miles is a huge accomplishment, you know, but emotionally you beat yourself up a little. And I think it's important to be honest about that. So yeah, I had a rough day Sunday coming to terms with that. But on the bright side, we had an amazing time. Like, the Cultra crew came out, pacing, crewing. I watched people hit goals that they never thought were possible, which was amazing. I got to run with Howard, the dog, so that was just amazing. I mean, yeah, Scott was there too, but I got to run with Howard. So overall, do I think it was a great weekend? Absolutely. We had the best time, and I love being part of the community. Personally, I'm disappointed in what happened for me. It happens, you know?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? But I already have my year next year planned, at least part of it. So I've got Satan's Sidewalk in February. I think I'm signed up for 3 Ragnars. I'm doing the Cut, which is going to be my A race. And then I'll do Notchview and Hamsterwheel again. So
very good. I got to get into Notchview this year.
Oh, you got to come do Notchview.
Because I don't even know what it is, but I'm signing up. Like, you got it. So like when this happens, Celeste, you got to get me to sign up. You got to like help me with that. Help me manage my life. Like, because literally, like, I signed up for the Bluff like Saturday morning for the Sunday race.
Yeah, no, you have to sign up for Notchview. As soon as it opens, I'll let you know. Ben's working on it.
Okay.
So,
yeah,
registration hasn't opened yet for that. But
while we're talking about races, there's this race coming up in a couple of weeks that I think Mr. LoPresti has something to do with.
I want to definitely talk about that, Fred, but I want to stay with.
But not yet.
I know.
Not yet.
Hold on. Pause.
I want to stay with this. So Celeste, yeah, that's I understand the disappointment of a race like that. So you know what, I understand that, you know, so I'm there with you on that. And but also, you know, and it's easy for me to say, well, yeah, you know what, you get over these things and you move on and all that, and you learn. You know, I've had some, I'd say the last year and a half or so for me has been like more humbling than I've ever had to deal with. Like, I never even knew what a cutoff was. Like I never even paid attention to what a freaking cutoff was, because it's just like something that was for other people, not for not for me. That's something that I would ever have to worry about. And all of a sudden I found myself like a couple of times I've been cut off, 2 or 3 times this year, and come really close, which we'll talk about next week, other times. And I think for me, I'm whatever, I'm okay with that, but it's still part of me's okay with that and part of me's not okay with that. It's not like it's not one or the other. It's kind of both at the same time. So I get.
I think it's logic versus emotion, right? Because logically, you can acknowledge, yeah, I'm okay with it. This is what it is, and whatever the reason, you can have that logic. But emotionally, you can't control that.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of weird. It's almost like a part of me that I'm not comfortable with. Like part of me, like I love the fact it feels good to run, right? And it feels good to do something that's difficult and to feel that sense of accomplishment when you do something that you didn't think you could do necessarily, or that you weren't sure you could do, right? You get a boost from that.
Yep.
But the inverse of that is that when there's something that I thought I should be able to do, and all of a sudden I don't do it, it's like, oh shit. And it's easy enough, even when you do something that you feel is great, to be able to to keep it in perspective and say, okay, yeah, just because I fucking ran 100 miles and finished it doesn't mean that I'm a good person. Okay. It doesn't mean that I'm, whatever, that I have any magical powers or anything like that. Or
wait, it doesn't? Are you sure?
No, it definitely
finish 100,
does,
it just makes you better.
It probably does in a sense, but I don't know what
124. If you can do 124, you're probably, I don't know. You might be the leader of the Trailmixers.
That's probably true. Yes,
true.
No, I think I stop at 112 though. That's like a hard stop.
Yeah, that's true. You would have stopped at 112. Good point.
That was actually, I think Ashley said when Mike was like, "Oh, I'm gonna hit 120 or something like that," and she goes, "He should have stopped at 112."
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I like that.
That's good.
So
yeah.
But Celeste, you'll do 130 hour.
Yeah, it's funny because I went into this going, I don't know if I can do it, with a lot of self-doubt. But I was capable of doing it this weekend. Like I was there, I had the strength, because I was still turning over. But it really turned into a, as we were joking about, a DNS, my pants kind of race. So it was just a bad, and sometimes you just can't control that. And but everything else was, my training was perfect. My fueling, I have never done the calories I did during this race because I normally stop eating and then blood sugar issues. So I stayed hydrated the whole time. So I've learned a few things, but again, I quit with 84 miles. I could have done it, is my point, if things had not gone south, because I still had turnover. I honestly have some blisters on my feet. Besides that, I'm getting around completely fine. Even my massage therapist was like, "You're good," So it was just not meant to be this weekend. I guess I'm coming to terms with it. At first I'm like, I'm a failing failure who fails. And then everybody yelled at me for that one. But I do have to, my personal thing, what happened with me, I'll get over that. But I do think the magic of the community that we're a part of, and Mike, you had said something about that a little bit too, where what it brings to our lives. And I was kind of in awe of it. Every single time I go, it hits me again, right? Where you're watching, where it's people helping, or Karen meets Rob for the first time and Rob's pushing her to for almost 50 miles to get that kind of community where it's just everybody wants everyone else to succeed and to, and there's not the judgment in our community for the most part, like we were talking about the cut, and I'm already talking to get like people together. And so Sam was there. Sam Dibdall was there. And I was telling him, he's like, oh, I was looking for someone to crew, and I'll crew and pace you. And I'm like, you do know my pace versus your pace is a little different, right? Like you get that. But like he's a fast, he has the course record at Nashville. Like he's a strong, fast runner, and he's like willing to take his time to give it to someone who's not at his level. Does that make sense?
Yes, which is awesome.
It really, it's like, okay, that's amazing. Jillian too. Jillian's going to come for the cut, and she's going to be getting Nashville. We convinced her. She's a lot of fun. We were at that towards the end, and I was kind of like not wanting to eat, and I'm like, I don't want anything. And then she'd wait till I started talking, and she would just like take a pancake and stick it in my mouth, like literally just cramming it in my face. I'm like, you're the worst, but the best, and we ended up having a really, really good time. I just didn't meet my mileage goal, but it is what it is. I still was second in my age group, which never happens. So
it wasn't that bad when you think of it.
Yeah. And I understand that it's a little bit like, it's kind of bitchy to be like, oh, I only did 84 miles. I'm a failure. Like, okay, stop being an asshole. But,
it was only 3.5 marathons,
Yeah. But I think that is the other thing that you see within the ultra world, especially in 30-hour or any kind of hour race, is people can go in with very different goals. And for one person, a 50K in 30 hours might be their goal, and that's perfectly fine. And for another, it might be 100. And from that perspective, it's, you might be disappointed with your 84 miles because it wasn't what your goal was, and you know that you're capable of more. But that's what keeps us coming back for more, is there is the chance of not hitting your goal. If you can hit it every time, is it really sport?
Well, exactly. Right.
Or is it the right goal, right? If you could just do it, if you could do it without struggling, right?
Right. Well, and I do think like race day is great, but there's something impressive about the day in, day out hard work that goes into doing what we do, right? Like showing up and doing 100 miles without training is just idiocy, right? Like you can't do that. But like to get to the point where we can do these kind of things, and the dedication and the hard work that goes into that is really, really impressive. Like one of my best friends, she went to hit her first 50 miler, and her training, it's just been so beautiful to watch this happen. And when she hit, like, I was almost in tears watching both Liz and Ashley hit their first 50 miler. It was such an honor to be there and to see that and to be part of it.
Those are some of the best moments.
It really is.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. There was a few people there too that it was like their first hundreds, and it was just so exciting, or their first 100K or their first 50 or first. It's just such a joy to see people reach that. And plus, listen, Ashley and I think that we tallied more swears per mile than like Michael's miles. Like we were on fire. We were like, Michael's going to win with 124 miles. We got to do 124 swears per mile. And we did it.
Easily, probably, right?
Oh, God, yeah.
Very good.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent. Well, congratulations to you.
124 in passing.
Congratulations to you guys all for doing, what you did there. And, I think that when things go well, you learn something. And when things don't, sometimes you learn even more. So I think, and sometimes it takes a while to kind of figure out what you learn too, and talking about it certainly helps. So looking forward to doing some more of that. So I did want to ask Michael, what's going on with the Trailmixers lately? So what sort of events do they have coming up, and what sort of things are, do you see happening out there?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So we've got one more official event coming up in a couple of weeks. Our Fall Fling 400 trail races at YMCA Camp Sloper in Southern Connecticut on November 18th. Simple 2.15-mile trail loop. See how many times you can run it in 400 minutes, which is 6 hours and 40 minutes. So that was our club's first race several years ago, and it's still one of our anchor races. So that'll conclude the season. I think in early December we have the unofficial taco trials.
Yay!
Page for that. Yep. And
tell us about that.
Yeah. Sorry.
Tell us about that. I know we've talked about it before.
Yeah, the format's changed a bit over the years, but basically you run a mile, eat a taco, run a mile, eat a taco, and whoever either does the most or fastest wins. So yeah.
Up to 10 miles. It's 10 miles. Up to 10 miles. Whoever does it fastest wins.
Because after that, it would be gross.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, if you vomit, you're disqualified.
9's not. 9's cool. 10's cool. 11, that's gross.
No.
Don't do
Come
that.
on, what do you
think?
This
is not ultra hamster wheel pace taco running. This is you're running fast with a
Oh, yeah. Some of these guys are eating a taco and
yeah. And so that'll be our last event of the year. Then we're in planning stage now for our 2024 calendar, similar race series to this current year. So
very good. Anything new on the horizon that we should know about, or what do you see, that you have planned that you can talk about, or no?
Nothing too dramatic new, honestly. Like several other races and clubs, we're struggling a little bit in terms of membership and race participation. Trying to understand the behind that, and it's still trying to figure out the post-pandemic race environment. And
so what is that? I'm sorry to cut you. I'm cutting you off. Fuck it. What is
You're in charge, Eric. Go ahead.
Yeah. What do you let's talk about that. So what do you see in there? When you say in general, because I know you certainly have a good handle on that. Are you are you seeing race participation down kind of across the boards?
Yeah. For most of our races, except for Trap Rock, which was well established before the Trailmixers were around. Race registrations down 15-20%, pretty consistently across our events. I think this year and last year. So
gotcha.
Yeah, and I don't know the reason why, if it's because there's more choices now, or people are simply choosing to do other things with their weekend time, or are there better races that are offering more? So, but we still have enough people registering to make it all worthwhile. So
I find the flings are phenomenal. The flings are very, they're great. They're very well organized, well done race, for not a lot of money.
A lot of positivity in the flings, right?
Yeah. And they're reasonably priced too. They're not
yes. Oh yeah, true.
Yeah. I mean, we our fall fling, we sold out I think in 19, the first time we ever sold out of that race, and then have not nearly recovered on that one since then.
I know one trend that I've noticed in New Hampshire, and I try to avoid these races because of it. People are so drawn to whatever clothing item or medal, or there's one company that I won't name, I don't love them, but they've kind of monopolized a lot of the event market, and they got their fame because they just have the best swag. And I don't need more shirts and sweatshirts and all of this stuff, but so many people are drawn to, oh, look at that sweatshirt, I want that one. And it actually makes it so that I enjoy the smaller, more affordable races that much more, because then all of the people that are drawn to that stuff aren't doing the races that I'm doing. But
yeah, I agree with that.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. You're right, because after a while, you're right. You do get a lot of you know what, you get a closet full of clothes. Like I'm sure you guys, you know, a lot of you guys, I have just like I have shirts that are just folded up into a ball with like that are tucked away, you know, because I was wondering, why can't I open or close any of my dressers? I can't get anything out of this thing because there's like so many shirts, and it's like that again because I have to do this again. But still, I still love, I don't know what it is. I'm like, still all like, oh, there's no shirt. Like, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with me, but I'm still like, some part of me like knows like, I don't need a shirt. I don't want a shirt, but I still want a shirt. And I don't know why.
I went into Hamsterwheel this weekend saying I'm not going to buy anything. But then I realized I left my winter cap at home. So like at whatever, 7 o'clock at night, it's getting dark. I was like, yeah, I need to invest in a Hamsterwheel running hat, which helps in the overnight cold hours.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
I had a Cultra running hat.
Thank you, Celeste. I was just going to mention that, like, now everything I just said about not buying shit, you should go to the Cultra Clothes website,
buy everything,
and fucking buy everything, and then you won't need to get stuff from races because you'll already have the best hats and stuff. So there's that.
So Michael, are you saying that the fall fling is not sold out yet? People can still sign up.
Plenty of spots available. Yep. Go to cttrailmixers.com and it's right in the homepage there.
I highly recommend. It's a beautiful course.
Best aid station.
The aid station is insane.
I have a fall fling story. The last time I was there, I face planted in Lake LoPresti on the second loop and called it a day. I was soaking wet with mud. It was really nice. It was.
You know, they put a bridge over Lake LoPresti.
That's what I hear, and I have to say, I think I'm going back this year, although I haven't signed up yet. It's not all great, Michael. The reason I'm going back is because I shouldn't even say this.
I want my shoe back.
No, they're making. There's a Wesleyan student is making a documentary about me, and she wants race footage. So she's like, "Can you enter a local race?" And I was like, "Yeah, I could enter the fall fling, I guess." And she's like, "Very like really the 18th? That would be perfect." So I think I'll be there, and there'll be some very earnest college student following me around with a handheld camera.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, I don't know. Good. You know, I'm a little uncomfortable with it, but
nah, you're a legend.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Well, it'll be good to see you there.
Good to see you as well.
Yeah.
I haven't decided if I'm running or volunteering, but I'll be there.
It is a great.
See Celeste there too. Oh, that woman's going to contact you, Celeste, too. The Wesleyan students. So when some stranger gets in touch with you, that's
So be nice. Got it.
Yeah. Well, you can be yourself.
So not nice. Got it.
Whatever.
I want to add, there's a couple questions that I also want to ask. So, Michael, are you guys doing anything with newer runners right now?
Newer runners. So we are trying to kind of restart like beginner runner group runs on the weekends. And we post those on our Facebook page when we can. So, so for example, this Saturday morning at 8, we'll actually be at Camp Sloper in Southampton with the preview run of the fall fling, which is also a beginner run. So we're trying to stir up some more interest in when we're able to get those on the calendar, they're actually pretty successful, and really trying to create that positive, supportive, no drop, no pressure group runs for people, because it is hard that first time you want to kind of shift from the comfort of the roads to trying the trails. It's very intimidating.
Yes,
and I think we owe it to people who want to make that leap to make it a positive and welcoming environment for them.
That's excellent. It's also like the first time you enter into like some club atmosphere, you feel like everybody else knows each other. And so if you can start at the beginning level and everybody's welcoming, then you feel like, oh, okay, this is good.
And because it is, I know that's the thing that I think that everybody, the first time they go to a club run, unless I don't know who you have to be, but I don't think anybody's really exempt from this. At some level, you're wondering, God, am I going to be able to keep up? No matter who you are, you're wondering that. So, I would encourage people to, if you're a new runner or thinking about running, maybe you found this podcast by accident and you're listening and you listened this far, which is like insane. Stick with it and you'll find people to run with and put it out there that you want to run, and you're not sure how fast you're going to do. And like, I know groups of people who get together and even just do a hike and maybe a little bit of jog with it, So there's people out there who want to do that. So I encourage you to either, Trailmixers is a great place to go. So if you want to post up something on their Facebook page and say, hey, you know what? I'm thinking I'm a new runner. Maybe I'm just starting out in trails. I want to go run, JB Williams Park in Glastonbury, Connecticut, in the belly of the Beast Coast. And I just want to go try that. Does somebody want to go? And I promise I won't, leave you out in the woods by yourself, and do that. It's a great thing to do. And don't worry about your pace, because you'll find other people who can do that. Because I know it's discouraging to be left behind. I felt that way during this race last weekend. Thank you, everybody. I got tested. Let's see.
And it's nice to have support, Art, right?
It is. But
you do. You want
before
support.
we get to that, I want to talk. There's the other part that I did want to ask. I wondered if you guys had any, if you've been up to date on the UTMB hubbub and all that with Gary Robbins and stuff. What are your thoughts on all of that? I assume you might both be, Karen. I'm not sure if you're up on. Yeah. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that, Karen? What do you think?
I'll let the others comment first.
Okay. All right. Like, kind of like a lot of times I think it's come down to the battle of the larger organizations versus the smaller ones and stuff like that, maybe is one way to look at it. Certainly. But I don't know. Had you thought of anything about any thoughts on that, Michael, or any?
Yeah. And I'm trying not to give a wishy-washy response, but I'm having a hard time tracking the facts on this one. There's a bit of he said, they said.
Of course. Understood. Yeah.
Vail apparently had a role in this, just like UTMB, Ironman did, just like Robbins did. So it's honestly, I'm having a hard time sorting through all of that. Yeah. But I think they're very much a dimension of it is, yes, a very well supported, financially powerful group had an opportunity and they stepped in. And I think it's been fascinating seeing the kind of foundational trail running community kind of rally around Gary and his race series. So I just I'm being cautious because there's always more facts than just you reading a blog post by somebody or but
yeah, hands down there is. I know there's always two sides to every story. But in my mind, at the end of the day, it's the most likely, if it's not this time, it will be sometime. It's the battle between the mall and Main Street. It's the battle between Home Depot and your local hardware store. It's the battle between Walmart and any one of the big supermarkets or Monsanto with their seeds and the little farmer who doesn't want to sell. Who doesn't want to sell the seeds, yet those genetically modified seeds have been blown into his yard and now he's getting sued for $1 million, but Fred's defending him, so it's okay. So
I'll do it for $500,000. Or
it's just, to me, it's kind of mind blowing to see. Not that it's a surprise or anything.
It's just
like
the
that.
latest. It's just the latest volley. I mean, you and I were talking about the old New Balance 50-mile series at Bear Mountain, and there was one in the headlands that sort of squatted on other people's races, right? So they have the power, and they could we're going to hold this race series, and somebody's like, I was already holding that race,
the North Face series.
North Face did that, yeah.
And I think that within the trail running community, especially, it's one of those things that there will be different motivations for why people are doing races, and it's one of those that, if you want to go to UTMB or you want to be part of their race series, then you'll look for those races and you won't care that they maybe squatted on another race, something like that. But then you're going to have just as many that are the grassroots supporters of, no, I don't want to go to the big races. That's not the scene that I'm looking for. And they'll seek out the other more grassroots races. And I think that there will always be that separation where it all depends on what your goals are, what you're looking for. And unfortunately, it creates situations like this where it is a he said, she said, but there are enough races for all of us to do the races that we enjoy. Hopefully there are enough venues that can happen as well. And if people come to the point where they're paying top dollar and we kind of have to adjust that grassroots strategy, then it will adjust.
Yeah.
I do have a little bit of fear that as bigger companies come in and prices skyrocket, that we are eliminating part of our population that just can't, not everyone can afford $700 for a race, right? And it's kind of sad to eliminate that.
But maybe to Karen's point, though, the ideal world is having both as options, right? So
right. And I just don't want, I want that option to always be there, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So because I like, personally, this is just me, I like the small ones. I like the grassroots, the, like local club run, like races, or that's my happy place. I don't know if I look at costs, if that ever affects me, but the point being, I want to make sure that all the little races aren't eliminated, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I have no problem. If you want to put on a big race and people want to go to it, you go do you.
Agreed.
But
yeah.
I think some of that, it is the transformation that it's already happened in road running, where you have the major marathons, you've got the worlds, you've got all of those big events, but we still have so many of the smaller events. Now, trail running is becoming more mainstream. People are paying attention to it, which creates a dollar value on it and creates these bigger races. And if you're a professional and you're trying to build your name off of being the best trail runner, you have to enter some of those events, and you're promoted to enter those events. But I feel like it will be similar, where there's enough, hopefully. I'm a little concerned that your races aren't filling up, Michael, but I think that there can be enough demand for the smaller homegrown races that we should be able to allow them to succeed, as long as we maintain and keep our values, keep the culture, keep kind of that support system that exists that you're not going to get in a bigger race that is overly mainstream.
Yeah, we just saw. So I just did Stonecat this weekend. I think the race entry fee for the 50-mile was $25.
Really? Wow.
Good. So
that's impressive.
Put on by Trail Animals Running Club. So, and I think they ended up donating most of the money to the organizations there. Now, again, it wasn't like but it was professionally timed. It was organized. It was marked very well, and no complaints with it. So now, did it it didn't have the big huge finish line shoot with the banners and and all that stuff, but it was a nice event. So I guess the point is that there are local running clubs like the CT Trailmixers and Trail Animals Running Club, and some of the others that you can go out there and support. And the big companies will certainly carve out their own way too. So and I think, as Fred once said, support is good, right?
Support is very good. We all
Support
need
is
some of that.
necessary.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So, we don't need to like charge like, we're not sponsored by Hoka or by even Booger Nutrition is kind of like on the fence. They've been trying to get us, to sponsor, and Booger Nutrition, Trail Spanx, Canadian Trail Fishing Magazine. They're all coming after us, but at this point, we're basically trying to, what am I saying here? I'm just kind of losing my thought.
We're 112%.
Thank you. Yes, we're 112% listener supported here at the Cultra Trail Running Podcast. So if you wanted to support us, one way to do that is to subscribe to our podcast and listen, tell other people about it. If you want to go buy some gear, that would be awesome.
Oh, leave reviews too. Don't forget that.
Yeah, if you leave a review, that would be cool, and we'll read it on the air. If that happens, we would definitely read your review on the air. Just give us 5 stars. That helps other people find us. But I did want to recognize our Patreon. So I wondered if you guys can you guys see our screen okay here? You can.
Yeah.
So Karen, would you mind maybe reading off some of the names of our Patreons here? And then if you mispronounce them, you get actually bonus points for that. So there's no shame in that whatsoever.
Okay, perfect. So we've got Hundo Joe.
I got to interrupt you already because it didn't take long, right? So I ran quite a few miles with Joe at Stonecat this weekend. So there's that.
I don't know Joe. So
okay. Yeah.
But then we have Albert James Gallatin, A. Marcus, Adam Osmond, Amy Jennifer Hanlon, and Amy Jennifer Hanlon's friend, Amy Mower Power, Amy Sorensen, Andy Tidd, Angela Rose, Antone de Betancourt, Austin Frank, Azam Polotov. These are getting harder.
You're doing great, though.
Wait,
you're almost doing too well.
I'm going to hand it off to Michael once they get too hard. So,
okay.
Ben Nillette, Ben 1N, Benjamin Griffin with 2 N's.
Yes.
Berkshire Trailheads. That one shouldn't have thrown me for a loop. Bessic Hustle, Bikini Chicken, Bill Gibbs, Bill Gilpatrick, Bill Odendahl, Brian Musiak, Bryce Henley, Celeste Fong.
That's me.
A ding dong.
A ding dong.
Sherry Bilby.
We were singing Sherry, like Jillian and I were like screaming in the middle of the night, and we were singing Sherry because we missed her.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah. It actually wasn't, because my singing voice is horrible.
She may have heard you from her house.
I think she did. Yeah.
Chocolatey fucking Chip.
Yeah.
And no chocolatey fucking Chip. Chris Rosal, Christina Chinheng, Christopher Colangelo.
Yeah, so that's Crisco.
Crisco.
Yeah, he's our new guy there. He's new Patreon. So
kind of slippery guy.
He was at Ghost Train. He just did I think it was his first 100K. I forgot what he ended with.
All right.
Yeah, he did really, really well. He's a good guy.
Excellent. Okay, he's still suspect in my book, but I'm not taking your word for it. He's slippery. You got to keep your eye on him.
That's right.
But okay, no, that's great. Thanks, Crisco.
Yeah, but wait, will Crisco work as well as Desitin? Is the question.
That's a good. I'll tell you.
To be
what,
determined.
I should show everybody.
Let's get some.
Sorry, maybe I won't show you my. Oh well,
let me show you
Don't
my.
take off your clothes, Art.
No, I got like this rash, like you wouldn't believe.
Okay.
Okay, I guess you'd believe it, but anyway.
Yeah.
No.
Clement Scented Chunks, Clarice Reinhardt.
Mm-hmm. She was there.
Craig Wallace.
Oh, Craig's new name is Mommy Craigery.
Mommy.
Really?
Yeah,
All
he's
right.
Mommy Craigery. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Should we update the list now?
Did you what now?
Should you update the list now?
No, that's
he
it's
has
already
to update
updated.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, sorry. His name is Mommy Craigery.
Okay. Crutchley.
Mm-hmm.
Dane Brahant.
Yeah, Dan Braveheart.
Braveheart.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been easier to say. David Hoople.
Oops.
David Hyde.
Seek.
David Kaplan. Ellen Cretella Connell.
Mm-hmm.
Ellie Pell.
Oh yeah.
Great Ellie
Emily Mayer. Enrique Tello. Franklin Gandiaga.
Mm-hmm.
Fred Wills. Fuck Arby's. Jeffrey Miller. Heidi Stearns.
Heidi Stearns and Foster.
Stearns and Foster.
So
did you see?
Heidi just named her dog Foster. Her little puppy
that's
named
perfect.
Foster. So now
she got a golden retriever puppy.
A dog named Stearns and Foster. So once again, Cultra's not just changing people's names, it's changing pets' names, which is even more important. And wouldn't you agree, Celeste?
Honestly, 1,000%.
I thought so. I knew you would.
I'd pick Foster over Heidi every day. Sorry, Heidi.
Michael, did you want an opportunity to read some yourself? I've been reading a lot.
I'll jump in whenever y'all need me to jump in.
I mean, it looks like we're about halfway there. I'll get through the J's and then I'm going to hand it off to you. JJ Durand.
So far away.
He ran so far away.
Jackie Smith.
Hey, that's not even Duran.
No, I know. He put the D in. What is he doing?
But that's not I ran so far away. That's I.
Oh, we know.
We know.
Yeah, okay.
We know.
Yeah.
Keep going.
He ran so far away because he was hungry like a wolf, Michael.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you. It's better.
Yeah. Okay.
Jack Sarbach.
Oh, yeah.
Jake Coteen. Jamie Myler.
Mm-hmm.
Jake. Jessica Crandall. Jillian Ellefson.
Her new nickname is Trail Chode, just so you know.
Okay.
I remember her now.
Yeah, Trail Chode.
I've known her otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Trail Sharks. Joseph Morrisroe. Justin Kuski. Now I'm handing it off to you, Michael.
All right. Wish me luck here. Kelsey Yang. Lancelot. Laura Ricci Meow.
All right.
Meow.
Lauren Edelman.
Mm-hmm. That's Sophia Lauren Edelman.
Gotcha. Law Dog.
Low dog.
Leanne Zargu, who was also there at Hamsterwheel this past
weekend. Oh, she was such a joy.
Yeah,
Laz.
her daughters. She was awesome.
Yeah.
Linnea's mom. Liz Vicious 30.
Mm-hmm.
That's my Liz.
Okay.
Is it really?
Yeah, Liz Vicious. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, because she's like really like quiet until you get to know her, and then like out of nowhere, she's like a snake, and when she strikes, it is vicious. It's so fun.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Maciej Macho.
Yeah.
Mark Kelly. Good runner there. Marty
Rat-a-tat-tat.
Ducow. Matt Nilsson. Michael Keogh.
Who's this?
Greg,
Who's
you want to take
Michael
this one?
LoPresti?
Apparently this one's going to be changing too, but I have an aversion to saying it.
Michael LoPresti loop.
No, it's Michael fucking LoPresti loop.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
see, that's I can't say it either, because
Thank you.
out of respect to Michael.
I know. It's like I don't know.
It's like a different way. See, she can
it's
say
a basic
Yes.
suggestion. I think the fucking is silent, right?
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Right.
there you go. So it's just Michael LoPresti.
Or it could be
MFLP.
Michael F. LoPresti.
MFLP. Michelle Pom O'Neill. Microscopic Porcupine. Mike Reardon.
Oh, that's Reardon.
Reardon. Okay.
Yes, the G is invisible, but not silent.
I guess so. Miles Victors.
Oh yeah.
Monkey Stuffer.
Mm-hmm.
Name.
Oh no, Name.
It
Name.
May, yes.
Nat Zilski.
Oh, yeah.
He was there.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
Peter Keogh. Powered by Pop-Tarts. That Pop-Tarts got me through several loops this past weekend.
Was Tarts there?
Well, the food, yes. The human, unfortunately,
was
no.
not there because he was at the it was at the farm, I think, right? The 8 hours at the
he was doing the 8 hour, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool.
Rebecca Gonzalez Kreisberg.
Mm-hmm.
Richard runs trails on YouTube, finishes Traveler 100. It's a good one. Rob the Bear Breckenridge.
Rawr.
Ron the Chondro. Ross Bielek. Rufus and Brenda Chafee, Fortin Chaffee Chocolatey Chicken. There we go. Run the Whites at Midnight. Sandy Bartell. Sarah Porras. Scott Johnson, who I met this weekend for the first time. Cool guy.
Cool. Big
And
Scott
Howard.
Johnson.
And Howard.
And Howard, yep. Simon C. Edgett. Slurpee Runner. Steep Endurance. Ty. 10 Junk Miles is hot, like your mom. The Blue Hills Contingent. The Lazarus Crew. Tom Stardai. Tony Bonanno. Tony Didamizio. Tunxis Jamie McCusker. Ultra Walker. Walt Hamer. William Jara, who's had quite a year as well.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, Zmikuk Desitin in the rear.
That's right. Very good. Excellent, guys. Well, thank you. You really nailed that.
That was perfect.
Yeah, I think
Very well done.
Absolutely got that done for us there. And thanks to all of our Patreons out there. We really appreciate you guys doing that. It helps. Not only does it support the show, but it helps it's like otherwise, like we're kind of out there talking like all fucking night, rah, 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 okay? And then this is like a way that all of a sudden we know that people are out there and stuff. So it's great to hear from you guys, and it lets us keep tabs on you as well. So thank you all very much for that support. It's wonderful. So
this weekend was so cute because like I'd be like, oh, this is Jay, like introducing Patreons that didn't know each other. And I'm like, it's JJ Duran. Oh, that's what they don't know the real names. And then when you say the Patreon names, then they're like, oh, it was really fun introducing like Patreons that way. It was
very
great.
Good. It is. That is an awesome thing to do. All right. So I guess as we're kind of wrapping things up, do you guys have any closing arguments tonight? Or anything that you're looking forward to now that you'd like to talk about?
Maybe in the closing arguments category, just Celeste and Karen, you both run the course with me this weekend in different ways. Celeste, just your energy was phenomenal. Your swearing was phenomenal. Honestly, I looked forward to seeing you every time. And Karen, now I know who you are with the light up skirt. It was just you were chugging through those miles like no tomorrow. So congratulations to both of you on that. And then maybe Art, just going back to our conversation before about larger big events versus smaller community events. I think there's a place for podcasts like this and keeping those local communities tight and strong. Mm-hmm. So I just want to recognize that there's definitely a place for this in the future where we need to go. So thanks for the chance to be here tonight.
Very good. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you for
that's
coming.
Great to have you here. And, I appreciate you taking the time again. I know you were one of the absolute first people that we had on the show. I forget what episode, but it was probably like episode 2. Yeah. Episode 2. Yeah. So
back in the day in your house. Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. And, I've enjoyed having you on here every time. You always, bring some respectability to the show and surprise people and all that stuff.
Fred actually behaves when you're around.
Yeah, right. Yep. I know.
Honored.
He doesn't even talk about dropping acid, like, right? Whoops. Oh, sorry. Not in front of Michael. Okay.
Not in front of Michael.
Sorry. No, he doesn't do that. Anyway, even allegedly, we don't even joke like that. I rescind that comment. Okay, withdrawn. And
he did
Karen,
create streaking though.
He did.
Apparently, yeah.
He did. Oh, did I tell you guys that I've decided that I'm a lazy streaker?
I saw that. Yes, very nice.
Yep.
That's my new, because I did go into the aid station this weekend, and I said, "Oh, do you have anything vegan?" And they had these, they had these quesadillas, and they said, "Well,
yeah, those are known for being
they
vegan.
kind of have. They're not really vegan but there's no meat in them." I said, "So you have lazy vegan ones?" And they said, "Yeah, I guess so." And I said, "Oh, good." So I threw some guacamole on it and called it a lazy vegan meal. And then they were like, I heard them talking as I was walking away, "Lazy vegan? Gosh, I didn't know that." So
Didn't know that was a thing.
No. So now they know at least what they're serving. So, but yeah, I figure I'm a lazy streaker. I'm going to run absolutely every day, just like Fred has for 40 years. Except if I don't really want to, or I forget. So that's my streaking thing. So Michael, are you back on a streak now or no?
Yeah, it'll be 1 year on, I think it was Christmas Eve, back to 1 year. Yep.
Very good. And you had a streak of how long before surgery?
I had 7.5 years every day before the day before my heart surgery was. I had to wrap it up. Yep.
Very good.
Wow.
So
I'm glad to hear you're back to it. I some people say like, "Oh, you should never go back to it. It's like such a grind." And I'm like, "No, you don't understand. It becomes part of
your day, becomes
yes.
part of your life, part of your routine.
Yes.
Yeah, it's hard to let go.
That's how I know you're on your game, Michael. You're back to the streak, right? Yeah.
And are you back too, friend?
Yes, I am.
Friend.
I've said the biblical thing a couple of times, as a dog returns to its vomit, so does a man to his folly. But,
remember that.
Yeah.
That's, like we have people who subscribe to our podcast, right? It's kind of the same thing, right? So,
yeah, potato, right?
Yeah. Well, Karen, it was great having you on as well, and great to hear that you got to hang out with Erica. Oh my gosh, that must have been a trip.
It always is. So
yeah,
I was listening to her. She is so, I don't know. She has such a good vibe. So
yes, she does.
Especially when you get stuck in a van with her for 36 hours, you get to know Erica very well. So,
oh boy.
Yeah.
Wow.
You guys will be the first to know if we ever reach the beach spot that opens up on our team. So
okay.
Oh, that's a good race.
The fun one.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty cool. So
but thank you for having me. This has been great.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
So
yeah.
And I also want to thank all of our Patreons. We're 112% listener supported. So thank you guys. And thank you to everybody who took us out on a long run today or on your commute. So, and I have to say that if you've made it this far, of course, seek professional help. And we will see you all in a mile.
Mile and a half.
All right. All right. So now I have to ask the Magic 8 Ball a question, right? I don't know what I should ask it. Like,
you got to ask it about the werewolf or the vampire.
Oh no, yeah, it has to be.
It's got to be a yes or no.
Oh, yes or no.
No, you could phrase it in a yes or no, or you could say, "Would you rather have sex with a werewolf than a vampire?" Yes or no, right?
Yeah. So is Celeste right when she says werewolves are the better?
No, I said vampires.
Vampires.
You said vampires.
Well, okay. It said ask again later. So
see, because you were wrong. I said vampires.
Okay, so maybe it's sense that we got the question wrong. I did have this actually. I have to say, I had the Magic 8 Ball on our aid station table, so that during the race, if I had any decisions to make, I at least had the source. So,
JJ says to me, "Oh, something about being a zombie," and he's like, there's zombies out here. Use it as motivation." Or no, that I was a zombie. Use it as motivation to chase runners. I'm like, we're not ultra marathon. There are zero brains here. Like zombies will never show up.
Oh my gosh. That's right. Yeah, and it's a zombie-free zone.
Really?
Very good.
So
Okay, guys. Well,
I heard a thing. I heard a thing about a magic 8-ball. Someone was trying to take it through the TSA,
Uh-huh.
and the people were all like, I don't know if you're allowed to take this through because it has liquid inside it, right? But it's sealed, right? And so he got a supervisor, and like people kept gathering around, like, what are we going to do about the magic 8-ball? Can you take it through? And it's a comedian. He was like, nobody asked the 8-ball, right?
That's right.
That's the answer. Just tip it over. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Right?
It seems hazy.
Yeah, right. What if it's one of those answers? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Hazy. Ask again later.
That's good. That's good.
That's great.